How would you like to become more intuitive than you ever imagined? This is Robert Manni, host of Guys TV, and this week my special guest is Karoleen Fober. We're going to talk about it right here, right now on Guys TV. You can also catch me on KCAA Radio here in Southern California, Guys Radio, my worldwide podcast, and we're on UK Health Radio all weekend long. Guys TV, Guys Radio, thanks for your support. Okay, Guys Radio, it's the interview portion of our show, and today we're going to talk about divine intervention. I've got a very special guest. Her name is Karoleen Fober, and she's a best-selling author, spiritual teacher, divine energy reader. We'll get into that. Intuitive business and life coach. Karoleen has provided thousands of consultations and readings. Her mission is to provide divine messages of love, healing, and guidance for the highest benefit of all. She's got a lot of stories in her book. It's been around for a little bit, but I strongly recommend you check it out. It's named Opening to Divine Intervention. It's got a lot of tips, down-to-earth approaches to help everybody connect spiritually, tools to expand your intuition, which everybody has but wants to get more of, I think, and also practical advice to improve your life. So welcome to Guys Radio. Karoleen Fober, did I pronounce that correctly?
It's perfect. Yes, thank you.
Well, let's get right to it. I'm so glad you're on the show. I guess the first question is that I had, and I think everybody else would have, is what exactly is a divine energy reader?
Well, as you might know, divine energy readers call themselves different things. They might be refer to themselves as an intuitive. They might say they are a psychic. They might say they are a medium, but they all pretty much mean the same thing. As a divine energy reader, I like those words because I believe that everyone has their God-given gifts to connect spiritually. They are given these gifts, and when we use them, it connects. And so I use those words, but I do three things. I do healing, I do the soul readings, and I also do the mediumship. So the divine energy reading, I love those words because it encompasses everything.
And you said the soul reading. What is exactly a soul reading?
Well, each person is a soul. And so I read the energy of your soul. And then divine guidance comes in and gives anything else that we need.
Okay. How did you get your gift? Well, a lot of folks that I've interviewed on the show who have similar gifts, and everybody's a little bit of difference, although there's some similarities, seem to have some type of gift emerging as a child. And then they get kind of squashed, if you will, and then comes back when they get past, over the age of 21, sometimes 30, sometimes 40, sometimes 50, where it comes back and it's like, hey, it's a wake up, like this is what you're supposed to do. What happened with you, Karoleen?
Yes, and I do love everybody's story because we're all different and we all have that unique way it all came together. And a lot of times with people, the gifts are there, but they're not connecting to the gifts. So with me, I found at an early age, I knew things. And so I would be in elementary school and the kids would be standing around the playground and somebody would say, and you know what happened after that? And I would just go, well, yeah, this is what happened. And everybody would look at me and like, I started going a little quiet. I was, that's when it was like, oh, I guess not everybody is as connected. And so then throughout my youth, I just kept it quiet. But most people release it somewhere between the ages of 6 and 8. That's when you're really getting into school and you have to learn all these other rules. And it's not as supported as it could be, even though I think that's changing. So I never let go of it. And it was like my best friend. It was like helping me. And I began to just realize that in every situation, didn't matter what it was, a job, even being at home, anticipating things. I just knew things. Then when my grandmother died, when I was 19, I realized that after she died, she was one of my first human angels. I loved her so much that I missed her. But then I began to realize that after my grief kind of dissipated, Oh, she was right there. And so I began to talk to her. I felt like she was right with me all the time. That's the real gift, is that they don't, they're in different form. They don't leave. They're every time you think of them or talk about them, oh, they're there. So that was into the souls, the spiritual recognition. But I kept quiet. I was kind of shy and that kind of thing. And then when my mom died at when I was 54, it was like everything expanded. And a lot of people like me, that's what happens. There might be a death, there might be some kind of major life transformation, and the spiritual gifts just start kind of, you know, just blowing up, so to speak. And so that's what happened. And then, we have free will. It's something that we can choose to do. And First Corinthians chapter 12 even talks about that with the spiritual gifts. And verse 31 says, if you so desire, yes, if that's your desire, then do it. It's really recommended from even back then.
Let me ask you, so when you say do it, okay, for you, you were shown that you had some of these gifts and you decided to go with it, and then it opened
Yes,
up further. For
yes.
other
The
folks, because,
mediumship,
okay,
the
so,
mediumship opened up.
okay, so the mediumship, for those who are not aware out there, there's a difference between a psychic and a medium, and a medium is always psychic, but a psychic's not always a medium. Is that it?
That's exactly right. That's
Okay.
exactly right.
So as a medium, you can contact people who are on the other side, if you will.
Yes. And I like to say, oh, they're contacting me.
Okay, that was my next question. So how does
Yeah.
that work then? Do people kind of tap you on the shoulder when you're talking to your friends or whatever? Does somebody show up there and you're like, oh, there's your grandmother? Or how does it work for you?
Yeah. It happens pretty quickly. When this all started, it almost happened all the time. It was quite overwhelming, and it takes a while to kind of just get your grip and become comfortable with it. And so after a couple of years, it became easier to not have it be so kind of right now type of thing. So when I'm talking to somebody, and it's helpful to understand that um, all of souls are electromagnetic energy, and which we are light. Albert Einstein talked all about that. And he basically said that because we're light, we travel at the speed of light. So, for example, if I'm somewhere at a farmer's market and I start talking to somebody, I might they might come forward if it's very urgent. But what sometimes starts happening is you just start talking to somebody and then they say, oh, my dad just died. And then it's like almost within seconds, um, I'll sense them, their dad. There's the spirit of their loved one. And when I do a reading, sometimes in the beginning, if I don't know much information, I'm just allowing who comes through. And so that's one of the things in a reading. You may want someone to come through, but I don't control that. I'm just the channel that it comes through. And so the most important information that is the best for you and the highest benefit for all, that is what's going to come through.
Okay,
And who comes through.
perfect. Karoleen Fober, my special guest on Guys Radio. The name of the book is Opening to Divine Intervention. You mentioned that there's 15 ways of having divine intervention experiences. Could you talk to us a little bit about some of those and what are most important, and how everybody out there can kind of tap into those?
Yes. And almost everybody has had at least one of them. And I put them into the big category of they're all miracles. Um, but you can get divine readings for yourself. You can do divine readings for others. You can have what I call divine pivotal moments, where whatever is happening is for your best interest, and you may not even understand what's going on. You might be talking to someone and they may say things to you that either instantly or a little bit down the road is a huge clue to maybe your life's path or a solution to a problem you've been experiencing. So I call that a divine pivotal moment. There's divine lessons. Praying is something that I say, well, if you pray, you are getting divine messages. And and people say, wow, I guess I didn't realize that. But when you're praying, you're in the act of asking for help to your creator, your source, God, and you're going to get answers if you ask questions. Some people have dreams, and in fact, everybody has dreams. I haven't talked to anyone that hasn't had a dream. Well, these are the times where the brain waves are conducive that everybody gets these kinds of messages from our grandmother, our mom, our loved ones. Um, they've done some research on people that do what I do for a living, and they found that while they're doing the reading, they do these brainwave um, tests, and they're amazed at what starts happening. And what they found, um, I've seen two specialists have the feedback, and basically they see these waves, and it looks like on these brain waves that people are actually waking up and sleeping. They're just back and forth. It's like it's like a movement, a frequency. And I've seen the reactions they even have them on YouTube, where major people that do these brain scans, they talk about it before they do the brain scan, and after it, they're sitting there, and you should see their faces. They're going, I thought I knew what was happening. Oh my goodness, we've never seen anything like this.
Well,
And they describe it. Two sources, very high level sources, describe it as that sleeping, waking up, sleeping and waking up.
this is the individual who's getting downloads.
Yes,
This is a regular person or somebody with your gifts that are
well,
dialed up. So that's like
well,
measuring somebody like yourself or like the
somebody
everyday
that's actually
person.
doing a reading. They basically did the reading on people like mediums, where they did
Okay,
the loved ones coming through.
got it.
But it was also about their life's journey as well. So it wasn't just the loved ones coming through. It was the actual full reading, which has both.
Let me ask you this. A lot of people who want to develop their intuition and spiritual gifts, sometimes they'll ask for divine guidance, if you will, and
Yes,
they're not sure if it's mental chatter, their own chatter, or something that's from the divine. How can people, what are some good measuring sticks for this? I'll give you an example. I've been meditating every day for like at least 5 years. And I ask in part of my meditation with spirit after I say thank you and a lot of other stuff, like, what do I need to know today? And now I'm at the point where before I even ask the question, I get the information. So I trust it. I'm like, I just trust it now. And I'm like, am I talking to myself and patting myself on the back and say, go get them? Whatever. I'm getting positive feedback. And so I figured if it's coming from the divine, it's got to be coming in with love. So I'm not going to get negative messaging. Talk to
absolutely,
us. Talk to us.
absolutely, Robert. That was just perfect. And this is why I'm so excited, because everyone has this ability. And I I set myself apart in that I'm one of the few, I think there's more, but I'm one of the few that actually teaches how to do this. And it's like anything, you could become an opera singer, because there are people that could teach you this. And this is my specialty, because I just feel like it's what I was born to do. And so, yes, that's exactly it. And the more that you meditate, that just, it basically allows the frequencies to come through, because you're quieting everything and you're connecting. And so that's exactly what happens. And I always say, wow, isn't it nice to feel like you have a spiritual team that you wake up and you're given some great messages, and you have free will. So you get to do
Mhm.
what you want to do with that. But it's the highest information we will ever receive.
Okay. I kind of lost track there. Such a great answer. Thank you. And I think we're at a frequency level where sometimes I get a little stopped for a second. So you mentioned meditation. Do you recommend that everybody meditate? And
Absolutely.
if so, how do they get past that first obstacle, which is always too much mental chatter? I can't quiet my mind.
Yes. And I think the other piece of that is people think that they have to do it right. I tell people, meditating is just getting quiet. Some people that have really noisy lives, I've found, seem to like a little bit of music in the background. They like even maybe a little mantra, a little phrase that they focus on. It helps them bring themselves together. But I just recommend close your eyes, get quiet, and allow the thoughts to come through kind of like a cloud. Let it float by, because some people will say, I can't do it. And I say, no, you can do it. It's just you have to keep at it and allow it. And then just pay attention, because some people take a little longer, but everybody can do it.
I think you nailed it with the word allowing, because
Allowing.
so many people want stuff and they want to manifest and all of that. But in my opinion, a lot of folks are not allowing those gifts to come in for whatever reason. That just not
Absolutely.
allowing is a big word. You mentioned that you teach this. How do you tell us about how you teach? What exactly do you teach, and how do you teach people to develop these gifts?
Well, thank you for asking. It's kind of the excitement of my life right now. I have developed 15 different modules, and writing the book really clarified everything. And in the book, I created a um, five pillar acute system. And A is for accepting it. C is for claiming it, because you can accept it, but until you claim it for yourself, that's where
How do
the
you do
real
that? How do you claim it?
well well, you stop talking about it like it's for some other people. You say, no, this is for me. Very simple. You say, you know what? I may not know everything, but you know what? I do believe that I'm connected spiritually. I've been given lots of messages that have been helpful to me if I've really admit it. So I'm going to say, instead of saying it's for other people and oh, you can do it, but I can't. You know what? I'm going to focus and accept that it's going to happen for me too.
Okay.
And then the third pillar is utilizing all the tools, strategies, and tips. And that's what's the bulk of what I teach. But and then the fourth step is trust. And that's again where you might get a message and everybody's thinking, oh, that's crazy. And you'll get some crazy messages. But you'll learn to trust them and then enjoy it. And the reason why um, I am so excited about the acute system that came to me, by the way. I was just writing down a few things and then I got the divine message. Oh, this is something for the world. And it was ACUTE, acute. I said, great. Oh my gosh. So um, those 5 steps, those 5 pieces more, is without all of them, you won't you won't have as high of level. And that, I really mean that. And Joyce, a lot of people say, well, I don't need to enjoy it. I go, okay, you do need to enjoy it, because some of the things, I'm not kidding, some of the things that happened, like when I'm doing a reading with a loved one, they'll go right through my body. And I'm telling you, it is the most fantastic feeling. And most people have felt it. They just don't know what it is. So in the teaching, I'm actually teaching you things you've probably experienced, but just haven't put together. And so it happens actually pretty quickly. And then the 15 modules support those five areas, the pillars.
Okay, my special guest on Guys Radio, Karoleen Fober. The name of the book, Opening to Divine Intervention. We're talking about that and talking about her gifts as a medium and a psychic. So how do you work? I mean, we talked about this ahead of time, that maybe you would do like a little mini reading on me to get our audience, our listeners and viewers, just a sense as to what you do, how do you do it? And maybe that'll draw some interest to you, which I hope.
Yes. So do you want to kind of go over some of the things?
Yeah, now let's set it
Or
up for context, because when I had mentioned this to you ahead of time, you said, "Oh, I already got a download on you." So how do you work? What did you get, and what can we share?
and I do love that question. How do I work is I pay attention. And so I don't dictate how things go. Your spiritual guides are delivering the messages to you in the best way that they can. And so if they need you to understand something visually, you'll probably be able to see something. Um, not everybody sees things, but if it's important, you probably will. Um, so the information comes to me, and sometimes I'll ask. Um, but I'm just aware. I feel like I have that radar, that divine intuitive radar on. And so that's another piece of teaching people, just, accept it, and now it's on. So if something comes, you're going to be ready.
And you usually get, let me just interrupt one second, because
Yes.
I want to make sure people know when you're reading, you also find out about, do you get information about people's sole purpose, or is it,
Yes.
okay,
Yes. In fact, I've done business and life mastery coaching for over 20 years. And so I'm all about someone's involvement, someone's personal growth. So my guides, they always give information like that. And so that's another thing that sets me apart. A lot of mediums, they're just going to give you,
okay,
information about a loved one. And that's great.
all right.
So for example, um, I get the messages can come in just a little snippet, or it might come as a symbol. And so that's what I mean by when I talk about your lexicon is the vocabulary, the symbols, the signs that you're getting.
Mhm.
Um, so the information can also come as a download. Like I will be walking through, let's say, my house, and all of a sudden, oh, I have to get to a piece of paper and a pen because I'm getting like sometimes up to 20 pieces of information about something. It could
Oh,
be a situation, it could be a person. Yeah. So,
okay, all right, well, let's do it.
okay. Well, and I really, and this is really fun for me, by the way, because
Oh,
when I
good.
get a spiritual download, and it's so important, and all the information, every reading I've ever done has been absolutely life-changing, transformational. And so
Just so
y-
people know, we didn't talk about anything about who I am, my background. I didn't have any questions. We just said,
no,
let's do something on the show. And
yes.
Karoleen, you said, yeah, I already got a download on you. So here we are.
Yes. And so um, basically, the first thing that came was that you are a transformational leader, and you represent three things right now. And and they were, I could almost see them. I hear sometimes I get different, I can do it simultaneously, but I saw these block words, and the three words that came were safety, strength, and communication. And so as the download continued, I began to know and understand more about what the safety, the strength, and the communication are all about for you, Robert. So as I go through this, it's going to make more sense. So I'm just going to keep going if that's okay.
Sure.
Um, okay. You have an unassuming approachable style about yourself. And what that allows for is a super high energetic magnetic attraction factor. And so what that means is not everybody has this. Some people say, well, that sounds kind of normal. I said, oh, it's normal, but not everybody has it. And so you draw people to you just naturally, just by the gift of the person that you are. You also model and radiate healing. And I don't know if you realize that. So you might want to write that down. I do ask people to write things down when I think it's important. I hope that's okay.
Sure.
Um, it my readings I feel are so important that I tell people when to write things down. Um, so you model and radiate healing. Now this is interesting for both men and women. And you do that on a cellular level for yourself and others. That's the cool thing. We're always, connecting to ourselves, but our energy changes and transforms people just by breathing. So it's very powerful. You are evolving. Oh, excuse me. I left out it. Yes. So you are healing both men and women on a cellular level for yourself and others because you're at ease in your skin. Very few people are comfortable with who they are. And that's why, again, you attract people and they feel safe with you. That's where the safety comes in. Um, and in your comfortableness and your approachability, people they want to emulate you. So you're teaching with just being yourself. Isn't that exciting?
I love it. Thank you.
Yes. Um, and when and you choose, your intent, you have a high pure intention, and you choose the higher frequency responses in all of your relationships. I mean, no one is perfect. We all can get tense once in a while, but you do it better than most. It's keeping that frequency very open and helpful to people for mutually beneficial relationships. You are a relationship guy. Um, And and what does that mean for the large scale? Well, it's very important. This will help our planet evolve and allow for major issues to be solved for the highest benefit of all. Because what happens when we have major issues to solve in our world is that people people cannot communicate together without, almost getting to the point of fighting. But you have that ability just because of the gift that you are and that you've accepted who you are. A lot of people haven't even done that step. It's a very highly evolved ability to accept who you are. And when you do that, you not only set yourself free, you set everybody else
Oh,
free too.
so
Okay.
beautiful.
Do you have any questions about that?
No, I mean, it's very beautiful. Exactly what I aspire to. I want to be able to do that in the best way possible for everybody. And
Yes.
sometimes I would say, it's frustrating because I see, it's like the most popular food place in America is like McDonald's. And like then you think
Right.
about being mindful about all decisions you make, and you think about the media and what the movies people watch, or music they listen to, and you like there's so much negativity and darkness, and then you see, even in my business, in the podcast and radio, a lot of stuff is like, wow, this stuff is not sending out the right vibes, because people want to be, I can see it with my own show, they like to be titillated. And so I'm wondering if I need to like take more chances or whatever in doing what I'm doing to expand.
Wait. Yes,
Okay.
you will be. And yeah, it's truly exciting. And there was a piece there that I think will get added in, that
Okay.
something about what you said. Um, okay, I mean, I just love this. When I do readings, especially when I get a download and not really know someone, it allows me to just feel like I've known them for a long time, but it also gives me their true gifts. And when you actually live your true gifts, that's what everybody aspires to. Okay,
Okay.
so
Let me just say one thing. Karoleen
okay.
Fober, my special guest on Guys Radio. She's reading me right now. The book is Opening to Divine Intervention. Sorry about that. I wanted to
Oh,
get your name back in there.
that's fine. Thank you. Um, they okay. Divine guidance basically says that not only are you a true friend to men, but you are also, I'm tingling right now. I'll just start again. They say that not only are you a true friend to men, but you are also a true friend to women. You are a healer of the male-female relationship. While you have given tips probably for people revolved in your younger days about dating, I did know that you wrote that book, but your energy is now going to be used for elevating the male-female relationship for healing and peace, and how relationships are becoming more and more about spiritual partnerships, and
Mhm.
how together we do so much more. And that's why I get so excited about who you really are and what's next for you. And it ties in with your aspirations, because when uh, you just simply be you from your highest self, it just it just automatically transforms the world. And people don't realize that. That's why I say, oh, you really want, people don't know exactly who they are, but when they start doing, and a reading shares all that to who you really are, it transforms people. And I've always said I love doing a reading maybe even 6 months after a reading, because the reading itself pulls in divine energy that you get to experience while you're getting that reading, or someone else is maybe observing, and it transforms everybody. It makes you closer to the divine. It allows everybody to connect and experience that feeling. And trust me, they may not be able to describe it, but they feel it, and every cell in their body is being uplifted. So when you talk about your aspiration to uplift,
Mhm.
that's so exciting because you do it. And by the way, the soul travels through the voice. And
Okay.
so the voice is very crucial to the soul and the soul's energy that's coming out.
Okay.
Okay. And oh, and then you are also living out what I call the power of one. Now, the power of one is something that just came to me again as a bit of a download, and it was general, but it also said to me, Karoleen, you are going to be working with the people that understand the power of one. It where you and the power of one has a couple of things going on for it, but it's not just what you can do, but it's what only you can do. That's a distinction. So each of us were put here to learn our lessons, hopefully, heal from whatever we needed to, but also to live our ideal life and then help to elevate others. That's truly why we're all here. So you're also living out the power of one style of leadership, and that inspires and empowers just by the pure intention of serving others and striving to live your own best life. Okay, and this is the last piece I got, unless you have a question.
No, no, go ahead. I'm all
Okay,
ears.
this was one of my favorite things, and I actually got this later after I had kind of the major download, and I was walking through our condo here, and it was like, do you know the song Deep and Wide? There's a fountain flowing deep and wide. Well, I heard that song, and that's a song from, my early childhood years. And so I kind of stopped, and it was like deep and wide, deep and wide. This is for Robert. And okay, my sense of this is that you are moving into wider arenas that will be going both deeper with people and yourself. So you're going to be going wider, but you're going to go deeper.
Great.
And 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 this is key. And this is why it's going to be so dramatic. It's going to be palpable, is that as you go deeper, whilst you will still keeping it light and uplift others, and that's a balance that's angelic.
Wow. Has anybody showed up while we're having our conversation?
Well, no, but we've been a little busy, and here's the thing about your guides. Are they're going to come to you with in the right times, and what we focused on right now is really about your essence, your
Mhm.
purpose, and where you're going as far as evolving. And anything else would probably be something I would do privately in a private reading.
Sure.
But I did check, and I could sit here and like work at it a little bit, but nothing popped out right now.
Let me ask you this. I had a parent who recently passed over. And my
Oh,
my
yeah.
wife gets downloads, and she said
Yeah.
she got a download from my mom, and basically it was related to your book, because my mom, according to my wife, was saying, "I'm sorry that I didn't really understand who you are."
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and in terms of, because you're different than the rest of the family, so to speak, and I didn't quite get it, and I apologize for that. And when my dad crossed over, my
Mhm.
wife got a download from him, kind of saying, like, not that, but kind of sorry for not being there, whatever, because he traveled all the time. But and I was, in both cases, I was like, I didn't have any complaints. Like,
Yeah.
everybody's everybody, and you were great parents, and I love you. So every night before I go to sleep, I thank them, and I feel like I'm still connected. But I don't know what to make of all of that. But any
Well,
messages there?
yes, while you were talking, and this is what I love, because um, it the best readings are when there is interaction. I know some mediums, they say, oh, don't talk. They're just going to do the
Right.
whole thing. And
Mhm.
then suddenly you've got 2 minutes left, and maybe there's a question. But while you were talking, oh, I always say, well, my body lit up like a Christmas tree. And that is that's when it's like, yes, 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 yes. And something else came through. Okay. Because I thought the download was very, very interesting, but now I'm really getting that your mom is basically, and maybe she was the one that, kind of was part of that download, because I really get that feeling that her her essence right now is that she now does know who you are. And that's the other thing, when they they transform, they're doing major evolvement up there, and evolvement they couldn't do here sometimes. So I get the sense that she's really a part of this download. I feel that the male female relationship, I feel that how the evolvement's going to happen. I'm looking at my notes. Let's just see. Oh, bringing healing and peace, because that's such a big deal right now for relationships. There was one other little thing. Um, oh, sorry, but sometimes it just pops in like popcorn. So when you were talking about your mom, actually, and your dad, it was like they okay, when your response was, I didn't realize that you needed to say anything I'm sorry about. I thought you were just great. Well, they're, because they've evolved, they're the ones that know they could have done more. See? And so they're giving you that as a gift of love, to know that one, they're still with you, and that they're going to give you that now because they see themselves as evolving, and that they wish they could have done it more. Do you see?
Yes, I understand perfectly.
Yes.
So for the benefit of our audience, first of all, thank you. I think that was a great illustration of how you work and what people can expect to get out of working with you, and also understanding that that relationship between people who are in our dimension and those who have crossed over. What would you like to tell our audience about, what happens when people cross over, how you can stay in touch with them, how not to think like, oh, because a lot of people say, oh, they're dead. I don't,
Yeah.
I don't deal with dead people or whatever. And I always feel like people are there, but they're there in a different form, but they can kind of come to us in certain ways. I don't quite understand how it works, but I can
Yeah.
feel it. I can feel it in my
Yes.
heart that I can feel the love. So talk
Yes.
to us about, help our audience with what to make of, because our culture, as you know, Karoleen, aging and death, they're just like the big thumbs down, and it doesn't have to be that way.
Right. And we're all, so many of us are afraid of death. And
Right.
oh, we're all having, anxiety about something bad happening. Well, we do love this, we do love coming here. This earth is, uh, well, it's a bit of a rodeo, but it is where we evolve
Right.
to great lengths. And believe it or not, all of those in the spiritual realm are learning from us, because we have the dualities, and they see us evolving in leaps and bounds, and they're receiving the evolvement as we evolve. So it's quite interesting. But as far as really, if you've lost a loved one, what first happens many times, I mean, you're just overloaded with pain and grief and despair, and wish I could have done something different. So there's a lot of feelings going on with most people. When it's been a close bond, and it can be very painful, and I write about in the book where I could hardly get out of bed for about 2 years. um, but what starts happening is, again, understanding, and to really understand that they are spirits, they're just transforming, and wow, within a couple of seconds they are there, and the other intention is they are there to help you, and they do help you. And because they're made up of electromagnetic energy, oh, they can do anything and everything to our tech equipment. So they can turn the TV on, they can turn the radio on, they can make a song play. They can, with my mom, I can walk into my kitchen, and I can smell her cherry pies coming right out of that oven.
That's
I
awesome.
mean, yes. So, and they come in all different ways. And once I begin talking, let's say somebody says, I just don't know. I begin to start asking questions. And the more that they start connecting with it, people begin to almost admit that, yes, I do feel their presence, but they will move. My grandmother moves her little thimble whenever I talk at length about her, and I'll go in and it's like, oh, my little thimble's off its little ring
I
thing.
guess, is this because they're in a higher frequency to get down to us, they kind of have to squeeze things down to make things more dense that they can communicate with us. So that's why they do it through electromagnetic devices, and because it's hard to like just show up. I mean, my dad, when he
Yeah,
passed, he showed up in a dream. He was looking at his very best, and he was just there, and he said, "Yeah, it's me," but he didn't say it, and I knew it was him, and it was a good feeling, and I just knew he was there. Hasn't happened with my mom, but I had a completely different feelings when she passed, because it was long, drawn out, and I didn't feel she was in a good place where she was, and it was mixed emotions where, it's just
yeah,
really tough with the debilitating diseases that are out there nowadays. But
yeah.
I guess every situation is different, but I guess the takeaway is, Karoleen, is we have to be open to how people on the other side um, can communicate with us, and the fact that they are there if we want them to be there. If we want to just close the curtain and say, when you go to a funeral or whatever, you can see half the people, they don't want anything to do with it. They'll talk
Yeah,
about football or whatever. It's just like there's no,
yeah,
it's like they're denying it. And I
yeah,
don't think it goes away. I think people have to process.
yes. And that's why I encourage people when and if, because I didn't, needed a reading. I knew I needed a reading, and I asked God about it, and it was like green light. And so um, when I got the reading, oh, that's when everything just started
Got it.
making sense. And I even felt the presence of my dad in that first mediumship reading that I received. So it opens you up. And that's the other piece, is that you are going to get messages. You are going to have things. Lights will flicker.
Mhm.
Um, they are trying to get messages to you, and many times I will tell you this, many times when a relationship wasn't as good, but it was like a primary relationship, oh, they've done evolving, and they want to help you, they want to apologize. And I'm not saying everybody, but in all the readings where there has been kind of a break in the relationship, oh, it sometimes I
Mm,
just have to take a step back because I start crying. It's so loving.
got it.
And they want reconciliation and resolution for you.
Okay, Caroline, I'm sorry we've got to cut it because we run out of time. We're having such a good time. We'll have you back. Now
Thank
we'll
you.
come back in like 6 months and we'll talk about what this reading was all about. Caroleen Fober, the book Opening to Divine Interventions. Real quick, where can people find out more about you?
At my website, karoleenfober.com, and Karoleen, last name Fober, Fober.com. And I would love for you to go and take my 2-minute free intuition assessment and see where you are. You might be surprised at your
Fantastic.
intuition level.
All right. Thank you so much, Caroline. We'll see you again, and have a great year.
Thank you so
If you
much.
enjoy the guests and content I bring you each and every week to Guys Guys TV and Guys Guys Radio, please support us by subscribing to our channels and platforms. Thank you.